reminder today, so if you would go ahead and open up your computer, and it looks like the last letter is cut off here, but if you've never have done Pear Deck before, the website is joinpd.com, join, joinpd.com, and then all you need to do is put in that code, GDBFUI. And then you're going to see the presentation. You're also going to get a copy of this presentation on Schoology. We are recording it. Low stakes for my friends here in the front. You're not being recorded. I went ahead and I zoomed in so that we're only recording the screen up here. Okay? I'm hoping I ground your thinking right here at these two guiding questions. I hope these questions are answered for you, or at least lead you into the path of thinking about how your outliers is going to play out for you. Because there's lots of options of the way you can present this. There are 10 platforms that are in this presentation. I'm only giving you 3. Because if I did all 10, it would turn into this massive sit and get, and the next thing I know, you would all fall asleep. So there's a lot of things for you to explore on your own, and I just want to point out where those options are to explore. But I'm going to ground your thinking in what kind of story are you trying to tell, and I'll be referring back to that question with each platform. And then I want you also to start thinking about who's your audience. So I know you're doing this for a grade, but then what are you doing with it beyond the grade? Who are you presenting to? And that's going to play a really large part in the platform that you choose. I'll give you an example. If your outlier is older, they may not be tech savvy. They may not have access to the internet. They may not have an email address. So it doesn't make sense to choose a digital platform, or it makes sense to choose a platform that can be digital but can also be passed off to them physically. So think about that as we kind of like move through this. Just keep those things in the back of your mind. All right? Let's move forward. This should like advance. I've taken this straight from your rubric, I hope. I hope this advanced on your screen. So I just highlighted some of the keywords, and I'm going to highlight and point to this word right here, right. Because this is the second thing I'm going to ground your thinking in. As I choose all these bells and whistles and things that can make your story come alive, it really is about your writing. And if your writing isn't there, or if it's not descriptive, as you are going through this process, then your story, the platforms aren't going to do you any favors. So keep your writing at the forefront of what you're doing. And I'm going to go ahead and bypass this one, so hopefully this one pops up. As you keep your writing at the forefront, you also have choices. Right? So as you're writing, if you or your other audience members don't get a visual, then you're probably going to stay text heavy. But if your descriptive writing paints mental pictures, then you might want to lean towards more of the media. If you've got a lot of dates and places, then you might want to think about a linear fashion. And I'm going to show you a timeline today. If it's okay for your audience member to jump around, then you might want to think about a website. Okay? So keep all of those things in mind. These are all your choices that you got. All right, I'm going to land here on design principles for a few minutes. And I'll summarize. I'm not going to go through each one because you'll be able to do that on your own. But I am going to summarize. The key with design principles is to not trick your audience. And by trick, I mean you don't want to go crazy with the fonts, and you don't want to go crazy with all of the font sizes and the font colors, background colors. Once you land on a scheme, once you land on colors, you want to stay with that. So if I'm going to select, if you look at this presentation, I've used the same title throughout the presentation. Why did I do that? Is because I don't want to trick you. I want you, when we go from slide to slide to slide, I want you to recognize those block letters that color and that size is being the title. And I don't change it throughout. Proximity. I don't change where that title lands every single slide. I've put it at the top because I want you to be able to recognize these different things. I need you to encompass and embrace these design principles as you're starting to think about your own project. Okay? Now, as we move forward, the platforms that I'm going to show you all have different templates that you can choose from. So these two key sentences here are really valuable. Don't try and reinvent something that's already been done. Try and go choose something that you think is pleasant. If you like it, then redirect and go back to those guiding questions at the very beginning. Who's my audience? Who's going to see this? I am now going to switch my focus and design for them. So once you can probably satisfy what you like, then switch your focus into what are they going to like. Okay? If your story is upbeat and excitement, you might want to choose some brighter colors. If it's kind of low-key and it talks about moving around the world and shifting into different parts and different mindsets and different physicalities, then you might want to choose some more cool and warm colors. So think about the warm and cool colors when I show you the timeline. Okay? So teach yourself the design principles and teach yourself how to recognize those design principles with those templates. Okay, let's do this for a second. I just want to gather some data from you. Down at the bottom of your bar right now, you should see a red dot. Would you take that and would you land on one of these indicators here and just kind of give me an idea as where you are in the process? I'm hoping that you're not up there where you haven't started. That's my hope anyway. So if you're landing somewhere down in here, try and figure out, am I way over here and I've got at least 50% done? Maybe you're saying I got 60, 70, so maybe push that red dot over here into the center. Maybe you're not exactly sure. So rate your progress right now. Rate your progress on your writing, because that's probably where you are. Okay, just a real good indicator as to where you are right at this moment. All right, so we got quite a few people that feel like they're more than 50% complete. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and continue on. So that gives me a good idea as to who's about ready to start this process. So here's an example of a template. I want to show you how the rest of this slideshow works. I'm going to give you a sample photo. That's the main focus, proximity, one of those design principles. It's the main focus of this slide. But then off to the side, I've given you some extra notes, and this is the most important one. Of the platforms, which ones are free? Which ones does SAS give you for free? Which means we've gone out as a department and we've purchased some of these platforms and we've given you a site license. All you have to do is sign in with your username and password, and you have access to these things. I've also indicated on the next couple of slides whether or not it's free. Okay? Up at the top, this is a big. So, do I want to have interaction? So it's indicated by the hand and the finger. If it's 5, that means your audience member is going to be able to interact with what you're doing. The next one is challenge. Right? If it's got 5 meters up there, that means it's a heavy lift. It's not going to be easy. But then again, I don't know you very well, so I don't know what your tech skills are. So what we indicate as 5 might be a 2 for you. All right? What we indicate as a 2 might be a 5 for you. So keep that in mind. That's just a personal opinion. And then sharing. Again, going back to that guiding question, who's your audience? Who am I sharing this with? Do I need to be able to share this digitally? Or do I need that option to flatten it and just let it into a piece of paper? All right, going back to those guiding questions. All right, here's your first example. This is called the Spark, or Adobe Spark page. Adobe Spark page and Adobe Spark video. Here's the big focus, the sample. Here are the links to the actual place where you would design, And then here are 2 examples. All right, look at the scale up on top. So we said it's very interactive, it's highly shareable, and it's not hard to do, okay? So I know you've been given a Word doc, so to speak, a table, and you have several examples that you can choose from. So I'm not going to spend time showing you how to do this, but I am going to spend time showing you an example. And let's see, I had my examples open. Let me see if I can do this. I am going to spend some time here. That is not the one I wanted. Let's do Spark Page instead. Okay, so as we go through this and as this is loading, this is a former student of what he's been able to do. All I'm going to do is take my 2 or 3 fingers on the trackpad. I get to control it. I'm the audience. I get to control this. So as we go through this, all I'm going to do is scroll down, and here's probably one of his main moments. So I think in your assignment, 2 moments and 2 sidebars, correct? All right. So here's one of his moments. Probably in that text somewhere is going to indicate that I need to look at a map to figure out what he's talking about. Then here comes a sidebar, a floating sidebar. Now, I'm going to pause here for a second because I want you to zero in on that image. I'm sure when this person did this, drones weren't a big thing. So the question now becomes, how did he get that photo? So keep that question in the back of your mind because I'm going to show you where he got it. Another floating sidebar. Now a photo gallery. That is an option. A photo gallery. Another moment. Another image that goes with that moment, and possibly this sidebar of how it's flowing together. Another photo gallery, another moment, and then he ends it with the flag of the country. Okay? That is for page. Now, for video, again, full disclosure, this is not a great example. However, it does give you a 15-second indication of how you can put images together with voice to create a video. Images together with voice to create a video. So those of you that have chosen or will choose or want to choose to interview your outlier, you could actually use their voice clips in this particular process or this platform. Okay, this is what it sounds like. And there we go.
What's next?
So this is going to be live. Yeah, this one's live. Go.
What's next?
So this is the text I want to read.
Okay, again, very poor example. However, does kind of show you how you can blend those things. That was 15 seconds. Yours for your story probably would be between 4 and 5 minutes. That's what I'm thinking. All right? All right, I'm going back to the presentation. Let's see if I can just go. Now, just based on the little that you know about these two, very little information, which one are you leaning towards? Page or video at this moment? Okay, big blue dot. Which one are you leaning towards? Shocker, right? When there's not a good example to choose from. And I will tell you that in the, and I don't remember what you call it, but I know that you have a Google Doc or you have a sheet with examples on there. It's a big bucket of examples, right? Yeah. So you can go in there, and I'm sure a lot of people have chosen that particular one. Okay, we'll stop our blue dots flying all over the place. Timeline. Again, this is set up almost the same way, where there's 3 options to choose from: Padlet, Timeline, and Satori. I will point out that Satori is not free. It's free for 30 days. All right, this one's kind of an expensive piece of software, but I will show you the difference between the two. This is Padlet, the example that you're seeing. Great for dates and great for places, okay? Let me show you the example of Padlet. This is not going to be good because you're signed in.
you want to sign me out?
No. Okay, that's fine. I'll use this as an example. This is a horizontal one, okay? And so as I go through this, if I make my screen bigger, then the size of these buckets will go to that particular size that I make it. All right? If I need more space, it will automatically add those sidebars. Timeline looks a little bit like this. And this is a great example that starts off. But you can see that as I click through here, the timeline will actually appear on the bottom. And I will see different options in which I can explore here. But then, how does you create this? There's a tutorial there, there's more examples that you can look at, but then lo and behold, you land down here, and this particular site walks you through the process. All right, so one of the things that this site uses is it says to you, go ahead and get that spreadsheet, and then if you look here in number 2, all you have to do is insert all of your text and your dates. And then it says publish to the web, and then you're done. And if you need to make any changes, you go back to that spreadsheet to make it. All right? The other great thing about this particular site is all the extra options that it shows you. It doesn't just do timelines. So again, those of you that are heavy on dates and places, and you really want to show what your outlier went through, let's say that your outlier is a little older and you want to know what something looked like in the 1930s or the 1940s versus what that looks like today, right? This is a great option to use. If you're interviewing again and you want to use sound bites from an interview and you want to actually have their voice in your project, might want to think about this, okay, for soundbite. Lots of options here with timeline. Let me see if I can get to the last one. Again, Satori is not free. However, when you do open it up, I showed you Padlet where it was horizontal. Satori is vertical. And so if you're really looking to have a little fun and you're really looking for interaction, I want you to zero in with your eyeballs into the center with the dots. This is a vertical timeline. And so every one of those boxes is attached to the middle. And I know that looks like a video that's trying to load, but it's not. It's a GIF file, a GIF file. All right? And then there's interactive quizzes and questions that you could ask people about your outlier. Or you can even ask your outlier for information. Insert a video. And then if you really want to go crazy, you got a little matching option here. Okay? So 3 possibilities of timelines: horizontal, using a spreadsheet, and vertical. Those are those 3 options. Signing in with your username and password of SAS, creating your account, not free. Okay? Those are just the 3 things that are different. All right. Not everybody's going to use a timeline, and I get that. But if you were, which one would you be leaning towards right now? You should have a green dot down at the bottom of your screen, and it's okay if you land in the space that says, hey, timelines aren't working for my project because I don't have a lot of dates and places. All right, and you already know that, which means you can eliminate this one from your list. Just very, very quickly go through some of these responses, and so you're starting to find out that that's not a thing for you. Okay, thanks for playing that little game. Let's move on to our last one. This is 1D, which means it's flat. This is just a strict piece of paper. I'm kind of looking around the room, and I see a lot of Mac computers, which means you all have access to this software. This one's called Pages, and Apple is really trying to drive people to this software, and it's on your computer. And so all I did was go into the upper right-hand corner with the search bar. I'll just create a brand new one. Okay, so going back to that word template again, there's 2 things you can do here. One, if I want to create a newsletter, that means I'm going to take the text that I've typed and I'm going to go ahead and just copy paste it in. enhance things with my images.
I
Question?
have a question.
Yeah.
If I don't want to publish my story on the internet because it might have sensitive family topics, is this my best option?
Possibly, yeah. Possibly. Or, because you don't have to publish anything, we're just sharing it. And so I guess the question becomes, are you just going to share it via email, and how many people are going to forward that? All right? But yes, this is a one flat piece of paper that this can turn into a printed piece of paper. But just know that it does allow you to do hyperlinks. But once you print it, you can't touch a piece of paper to open up a website. So then it becomes really flat, right? Now, in this particular software, you can also do ebooks. This is one of the platforms I'm not going to present to you. However, you can go in and explore that on your own. So ebooks is a different template that you can choose. And I do believe you're looking at all of the different options right here. So you can do what I would call a portrait style, which means vertical, or you can do the landscape style. Okay, horizontal versus vertical. And you can go in and look at some of the different options that each one of these have. This is called Pages. I don't see a Windows computer, but if you do have friends that have Windows computers, Pages works on a Windows as well, even though it's an Apple product. All you have to do is sign into iCloud.com, sign in with an Apple ID that you can get free because you can connect that without a credit card, and you have access to that software. Okay? All right, I'm going to land here as we wrap up. Remember when I said, remember that oil rig? And I said that guy did not, or whoever created that, they didn't go out with a drone and probably shoot that. They had to get it from somewhere, all right? So I know that you're going through your citations right now, and as you go out and you think about your outlier and what you have access to, not all of you have access to what I call authentic photos. Authentic means original. So if your outlier, going back to that example, is an older person, their photos are probably black and white and maybe tattered. That's authentic, okay? That's authentic, that's original. But you might not have access for somebody to send those to you via email or the mail even. You don't have time for that. So you've got to have a place where you can go and get high quality images for free. So if you've got access to this, click on unsplash.com, and I want you to just kind of see what this does. So go into Unsplash, and then just search for, think of your outlier right now, think of something that's connected with your outlier, and go ahead and do a keyword search for that. And I want you to see some of the images that pop up. And all of these sites kind of work the same. I land on Unsplash because Unsplash, when you click on it, it starts me to think about my citation. So it gives me the name of the picture, it gives me the author's name, and it also gives me a URL. And so that's the beginning of a citation, the pieces that you need to make a proper MLA citation. It's not authentic citation, so just keep in mind, it's just going to get you started and pointed in the right direction. So that's why I always land on Unsplash. So if you need high quality images, you need to use one of these sites or a site that you can find on your own. Okay, and so you can even Google search high quality images free if you don't want to land on one of these sites. And I know you're going through the citation process right now. So just remember, I think my rule of thumb, whether it's your English teacher's rule of thumb, it's if it's not yours, you've got to cite it. Okay, and I think nowadays, even if it is yours, you have to cite it. So pretty much everything you use, you have to cite, right? Okay, this is just a little reminder that our office can provide some of these options for you. Now, I'm going to go quite fast, so look at your computer because you're going to see some of these things I'm not presenting to you, see if something catches your eye. So here's the ebooks that I was talking about. You'll see the links and you'll see the examples. Digital Scrapbook, for those of you that feel like you're creative and you already have some of the materials and this is not a heavy lift for you. I know you're limited on days. paper scrapbook, if you've got the means in which to do it, a website. You can explore these, or you can go and try and find a platform on your own. My movie makers. If this is already in your talented wheelhouse, by all means think about it. But if you're not a movie maker, in the time frame that you have, this probably is not the best option to choose at this moment. Story maps kind of alludes to the timeline that I was talking about. Those of you that want to do podcasts and or just simply record some voices, there's some links there in which to capture voice. And not a highly popular option, but some people have a long time ago chosen graphic novels. Okay, so you'll get a copy of this slide deck, and you'll be able to explore on your own some more options. So here's how I'd like to end. I'd like to capture your thinking. So if you look, hopefully, at your screen, you'll see some options. You've got two options here. One, there's a text box at the bottom, or two, you can take your trackpad and you can just draw. But I'm really looking for what kind of resonated with you today. What did you take away? Our guiding questions were to think about the story you were trying to tell and your audience. So, if I draw you back to or bring you back to those guiding questions, what are your takeaways today? And don't be afraid to give me a picture, because I like looking at the pictures. Okay, so here's some of our thoughts right at this moment. There's multiple strategies to use, so you're going to explore some of the examples. You've got digital formats, and you've got lists of websites and quality photos. You're thinking right now, thank you for the smiley face. I totally appreciate that. Oh, and I get a heart too. Great. So, you've got some diverse, very nice, diverse creative formats, and it looks like you've landed on images. So that's really resonated with you. Lots of ways to present, and really keep your audience in mind. Look for consistency. Great, I'm glad that resonated with you with the design principles. Good, taking into consideration some of the ways to share. Format should fit. Great, you're thinking of a Spark or Pages, and there's lots of options. Okay, how to publish. You're looking at sites for your audience. You're going to focus on your audience. It doesn't need to be digital. Great, Adobe Spark. You're visualizing with what pictures you need. You're thinking about you want to interview. Lots of websites. The design principles and consistency, very good. Okay, you only expected a couple of options. Great, there are many options that hopefully can transfer to other classes as well. Good, doesn't have to be online, excellent. But I think for this class we're sharing digitally, right? For the actual project itself. Correct me if I'm wrong. And thank you for the smiley face, I appreciate, or sad face, or neutral face, there we go. Timelines to make it easy, templates. I got a slider option, good. All right, well thank you for that. So, closing. I wish you much success on your project. You know where our office is, H308. If you need any help, if you need another set of eyes, if you need somebody to bounce ideas off of, there's 3 of us that are down there, and we'd be more than happy to help you with this. This is about our 4th time through this project in the last 4 years. Okay? What questions do you have for me?